We're back for session 8 with Richard Burdick. Let's talk about one of your mentors, one of your friends in the business. He was a very prominent dealer out of New York, Lester Merkin. Do you have any good stories
Oh, I
about
do.
Lester?
I do. He's one of my all-time favorite guys. I developed a very close relationship with him. I met him in 1969 at the A&A, and I don't think I bought a coin from him, but we just got along really well. He said, when you're in New York, be sure to stop by his shop. And I went to New York a lot because my brother had an apartment. I had to pay for a hotel. In fact, the first time I ever went to New York City was right after the A&A in Philadelphia. I took the train up there and went over to Lester's shop, and we'd sit there and talk. In fact, Abe Kossoff walked in. Lester and I was in his office, and Abe Kossoff, one of the most prominent dealers in the country, and Lester was friends with Abe, and Abe picked up some package of coins from Lester. And so as time went by, I'd always go there late in the afternoon because Lester put the close sign out, and at 5:30, and by 5:45 we were drinking scotch in his office. And this went on a number of visits. He started taking me up to his apartment on the Upper East Side. We'd take a train up there, and his wife Selma would cook us dinner. And he just taught me. This man knew. And one thing he taught me, one of the most important things, again, about really nice coins, original coins. And this was one of the most important things he ever talked to me about. He said, Richard, if you want to be successful in coins, it's not necessarily the dealers that you get to know. He said, always align yourself with the biggest collectors of the day. And I never forgot that. And it's hard to get that close to them because a lot of them are very rich, standoffish people. But I did meet some along the way. And every time I went to New York City, I made a special trip over to hang out with Lester Merkin. And here's what a great thing about Lester Merkin. I was late 1972. Lester called me. He says, "Are you coming to my auction next month?" And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Mr. Barker wants me to bid on that 1804 quarter. That's a rare coin, especially in nice condition." And Lester said in the catalog, "This is the finest one anybody's ever seen." And Mr. Barker says, "Look," he said, "I want you to go try to buy that coin, but don't pay over $15,000 for it. That's all I can afford to pay." And Mr. Barker and I, we both talked to Lester about this. And Lester said, it probably won't bring over $10,000, maybe 11 or 12, but nobody will pay that for it. So I'm sitting there in the auction, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to buy this coin for $15,000. It flew past 15,000 so fast I didn't get the bid on it.
Wow.
At 20,000, 21, 22,000. And Jimmy Hayes, who was a very famous collector back at that time, I'm sure you've probably heard of him. He collected first year of type, and he had a fabulous typeset, and he needed that coin. Well, he didn't get it. There was a guy, Jimmy bid 24,000. There was a guy sitting just a few seats away. He bought it. I've never seen this guy before, but he paid 25 grand for it. And this was front page news for Coin World, I think. Anyways, that man's name was Don Partridge, who was a very famous collector, and he sold his coins just over the last several years. He had Brasher doubloons, and he specialized in early American coins. He didn't collect much after the turn of the century in 1800 because he liked the early coins. He was a very, very smart collector. He bought that coin at Lester's auction for, like I say, $25,000. And I don't remember any other really fabulous, other than Lester being a good friend. Uh, I don't remember buying anything else fabulous from him. But going back to Andy, about 1983, I drove over to Dearborn. Actually, I think that's where that coin shop is, in Westfield Mall. And Andy went over there on a Tuesday, and Andy said, I brought something really special today. See, Andy was, by this time, was starting to give me a half a box or a box full of coins to sell for him. So he gets out this coin, and I had never seen an early American silver coin like this one. It was 1805 dime. Magnificent. I mean, a gem, super gem. And Andy says, I want $18,000 for this coin. I think that was gray sheet bid or ask at the time. So I showed that, I love this coin. I showed it to Mr. Barker. Mr. Barker said, I want to buy it. And I said, it's going to cost me $18,000. Mr. Barker says, I'll give you $20,000 for it. Okay. I didn't really want to sell it, but I'd have to sell a lot of things to be able to afford this. So, 1985, Mr. Barker died unexpectedly. And I was named in the will to be a guide to how to sell his collection properly. And I called up Harvey Stack, and a month or two later, he showed up in town, and we had a meeting with the board of directors and the attorneys and his wife, daughter, and Harvey. They signed a contract. Harvey took the coins back to New York. Well, several months later, all Mr. Barker's coins are going to get sold. Well, there was two coins in there that 1805 dime, that 20-cent piece I was telling you about that was bought back in 1973. I bought those two coins out of the auction. And I saved that coin for a number of years. In fact, I had taken that coin down to Dr. Claude Davis that I mentioned earlier. He was building a typeset of coins, and he saw the price of that thing. I paid $18,000 for it at the Barker auction.
Wow.
That's what I paid for it. And, I mean, anyway, to this day, that's about the best 1805 dime I've ever seen. It was that nice. So, where was I at? Oh, I bought those coins from Mr. Barker. I went down and showed the coin to Dr. Davis. He wouldn't buy it. It was outlandishly expensive for him. I think I asked maybe $22,000 for it. It wasn't that big a price, but he would not buy it. So I kept that coin to 1979, November. The November Michigan State Show. In fact, the following week was going to be the Garrett sale in New York. And I was walking around, and a guy by the name of Tom Noy walked up, and he said, "Have you got anything really cool for sale?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I got this 1805 dime." And he said, "This is magnificent. How much is this?" And I said, "Well, I don't really want to sell." He said, "How much is it?" And see, prices had risen a great deal at that time.
So we're in 1989 at the Garrett sale.
No, at the Michigan State Fall Show.
Okay.
And I was known to have some pretty nice coins at this time. And most of them have come from Andy. Because he sold most of his kind back in 1959, 60, 61, but he saved his best coins. So anyway, I'm walking around the show at Dearborn in 1989. This Tom Noy comes up to me. He's a pretty prominent dealer at the time. Asked if I had anything nice. I said, "Well, I got this 1805 dime. It's magnificent." He said, "How much is that?" I said, "It's $40,000. He said, that's a lot of money. He said, I'll give you $35,000 for it. I said, no. I said, no, but I will meet you in the middle at $37,500. He paid me. So anyways, that coin, I never saw it again till about 1998. It was in the inventory of Jay Perino. Now, I had actually sent that coin into PCGS, and they graded it a 65, the 1805 dime. And yeah, when I sold it to Numi, it was in that 65 holder. But now Jay Perino's got it from the mint. I mean, he's owned almost all the wonderful coins. He wanted $75,000 for this coin, and it's still the greatest 1805 dime I'd ever seen. And I talked to him. He came. He said, "Look," he said, "I'll sell it for $75,000. That's it." So I signed an invoice and I brought it home, and by this time, Dr. Davis we were working on a really high-end type set. We were trying to get the best coin I've ever seen. And he had learned that all those coins that he thought were gems weren't gems, but once in a while he got a nice coin. But I showed him this coin, and he said, I'm not going to pay that much for it. He said, offer him $65,000. So I called up Perino, and I said, look, this guy will also pay us $65,000. He says, well, I'll sell it to you for $62,500, and you can sell it to your guy for $65,000, which I did. And that coin ended up when we sold Dr. Davis's collection. I figured it at that time close to $95,000, and that was in a 65 holder. And it ended up in a 66 holder PCGS, and a guy by the name of D. Brent Pogue bought that coin, and they did it. I can't remember exactly what it brought in their auction, but that's one of the early coins that I assisted Brent Pogue on. It was that it's a long story, history. But a great coin, it just kept coming back and back.
Comes back to you over and over again.
Well, where it's at, I have no idea where it's at now.
So, Lester Merkin, go back into Lester Merkin. What did he show you in 1979? You told me about this before. I should tell him.
Okay, there's
a little box of coins.
Yeah, he called me up and he said, Richard, are you coming to my auction? Actually, Stax had an auction at pretty much the same time. Sometime I go there for a week or two to stay at my brother's apartment down in the East Village. So Lester said, I got something really special to show you. And so I look at the lots at Stax, and we go over to Lester's office. And he gets his safe. We go in his room. He puts the blinds down. He doesn't want anybody to see anything. He has an employee out there working the counter. And he gets this box out of his safe, and he opens the box, and inside that box is another box. And he says, "Now, here's the deal. You can't tell anybody about what I'm going to show you." And so he opens it up, and it's the Siam proof set that was discovered, and I think it was made in like 1834, and it was given to what was the guy's name? The ship.
The King of Siam.
No, there was an American famous sailor that was going to go around the world and meet different dignitaries, and he went to the Sultan of Muscat, and he gave him that set of proof coins. And allegedly there were 4 sets made. One of them was supposed to go to Siam.
Siam, Muscat. Wasn't there a German one?
No, there was, but he was supposed to stop in Japan, give them a set, but he died. And the ship came around. The ship was named the Peacock. It came back to to America. And that set never got delivered. And I don't know that we've ever, it got broken up somewhere along the line. But anyways, going back to this, the Siam proof set. Lester said, I got this set from David Spink. He had bought it from, in his coin store in London in 1962. And this David Spink was a good friend and associate of Lester Merkin's. And he decided, since the coin market had gone up a lot in '79, it's a good time to sell this set of coins. Lester wanted $1 million for that set of coins. I was deeply flattered that he showed me that set of coins, because I had never seen nothing like this. And to this day, it's one of the greatest numismatic items I've ever seen. But I got to see it. He actually sold it. He sold it to one of his best clients, a doctor from Kansas City. And he had it a couple years, and he sold it, and it's just gone on and on and on. Many owners since then. I've heard that set has been offered for, not offered for sale, but there's been offers for it. This was a number of years ago for like $12 million. Then there was another guy, very famous dealer, JD. He told me a story about, he was working with a very rich guy, and they were building a really fabulous set of coins, and he was offered $15 million for that set of coins. And that guy had bought it from, I think, the Goldbergs in around, I don't know, when was it? Around 1990. I can't remember exactly the date, but I think that guy sold it. I think he sold it for, the Goldbergs, I think, sold it for $9.5 million. And the price has just kind of been ticking up. And I've heard that the latest offer is $25 million, and the guy won't sell it. He
He
still
just loves it too much.
He's a billionaire, and he's still building a fabulous collection.
Wow.
So that's my experience with the 1804 dollar and the Siam proof set.
All right, well, we'll take a little break now, and we'll be back with more.
I haven't had any